Hey guys, Tark with Cyclone FPV, and we have just done part 5, which was the for the York Middle School drone program, and that was doing the ESC and FC soldering together. So we've got all the ESC done now. It is connected to the power on the FC, and all the channels, all the signal wires are connected as well. So let me go ahead and get our picture-in-picture going again, and now we'll continue to the next step. So let's do this. There we go. Okay, so here's what we've got right now. And real quickly, I wanted to show you something. I'm going to use this side of the quad for it, though. So I did tell you that I was going to print some standoffs here, as you can see, like this right here for the camera. So this is a little design I came up with. Let me kind of loosen it up, though, because it looks like I screwed this side down a little too tight. There we go. So we should get some pivoting there. Let me see. Okay, so there we go. So, and then I'll just tighten this just a little bit. Okay, so this is what I came up with. Now I'm using this side because I've already put the camera mount here, but if you want to use one of these prints, I'll make the file available if you have a 3D printer. Basically, you just put these two parts on, and then you could tilt the camera back as you wish on this side. Obviously, it's hitting the capacitor here because it doesn't belong on the back, but kind of a pretty cool little deal here. It makes it real easy. Let me see if I can get that on camera properly. You know what? Here, let me just do it like this. So here it is right here, right? So made this mount, these two mounts right here, and so if you just slide them over the standoffs, then you can, and you'll see how easily they come off. So that will be your camera mount if you'd like. I'll make that available for you guys as well, okay? So hang tight, you'll see that on the website. All right, so let's get back to work here. So what we have now is we have a few things left to do. One of them is going to be to do the camera. Now, the camera wire, and most of you guys, hold on. I put my camera wire down, and now I've got to find where I put it. I apologize. Give me 1 second to see where I had it in my hand. I can grab another one, but it's a gray cable, and I had it somewhere here, so bear with me a second. Let's do this. Let's move this over. Where the heck did I put it? Oh, here it is. Okay, so here's the cable that most of you are going to have right here, okay? And we're going to use this one. Now, ideally, it would be great if this could plug into something, but it can't at this point. So let's just go ahead and make it work. First thing we're going to do is, we know that our camera is going to sit right about here, right? I can move this over just a little bit, but if I'm using this mount here, and I'm probably going to cut this out now because I want to use the mount that I made. So I'm going to cut this out. But if you still want to use the metal mount, go ahead. While we were doing this video series, I was drawing those little mounts out, and I didn't know if they'd be done in time or not, but they are. So might as well go ahead and use those. Let me just pull these through. Don't need these anymore. There's one. Let me get the other one out. All right, there we go. Okay, so, assume we're going to use this mount here. So we're going to put this in like this, right? All right, now we can angle our camera back and forth. I kind of tried to make these a little snug, so it looks like they're going to be just fine. So the wire itself is only going to go from here to right here on the board, okay? So we're talking about a total of maybe 50 millimeters. Let me see, so 1, 2, 3, golly, right around 50. Oh, that's exactly where I had my finger, so let's see. 50 millimeters, and that, hey, 50 millimeters was spot on. So I would go ahead and just cut a little extra if you're new to this, because you gotta make these wires, you gotta pull them out. Now, I don't know, what I'm gonna find out about real quickly is if I was to just kind of remove this tape here, could I just pull all the wire out of the sheet? Because the wire would be protected. So the question is, can I just remove that tape and slide it? And I can. So there you go. Let's just make this easy. Remove it out of the gray protection there, because you don't really need it. And here's our standard wire right here. Okay, so all you gotta do is just kind of take this tape off and pull it through. All right, now, if we look at our camera, let's go ahead and look at the camera. So on the camera, if you look at the back here, it's gonna say, you've got your 5 volt, and it can go from 5 to 35, which is a really awesome fact that it can do all that. Ground, video, and audio. Now, audio, we don't have an audio input on here, so we're going to go ahead and just take that audio, and you can do like we did on the other one where I showed you, and that is just take a fine point. I got to find my fine point. So everything around here is kind of slowly. Oh, here it is. Okay, so let's just go ahead. That's the white wire. So I'm just going to prop that tab up and pull that white wire out. But again, save the wire. All right, you should now have a yellow wire like this one and a white wire. These are good wires that you could use later on. So we're really only going to be using 3 wires here. And that's going to be ground, positive, ground, and video, okay? So let's set that aside. Let's bring in, because we have to tin them, so let's bring in our solder paste real quick. Our flux paste. Let's go ahead and strip the wires. And this is a very small solder connection, okay, on the board. So you have to be very careful with this one. But it's not difficult. It's just they give you a very small pad to connect to, okay? Now under binoculars, or under magnifying glass, it's somewhat easy, but without that, my old eyes can't see that very well. All right, so let's set all this aside. And now what we're gonna do is, now that we've put the flux paste on here, let's go ahead and twist the wires up. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna grab my helping hands here real quick. All right, and I'm gonna put the wire in here, and I'm just gonna go ahead. I gotta turn my soldering machine on. I forgot to turn it off, so it's gonna take just a second. All right, now that's gonna be, let's clean up our bench here a little bit. It's not too bad, but still I got a little pieces of solder here and there that I don't like seeing when I'm working. So by all means, please get used to clearing off your table and making sure these little metal pieces are off before you accidentally short something, okay? All right, well, that's be enough for now. All right, so soldering iron is heated up. All right, it's ready to go. So now we're just gonna take some solder. Well, I thought my iron was heated up, but guess not. Let's go take it up a little bit more. Now let's see. Yep, there we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and tin the wire real quick. Make sure you've twisted the wire tight. All right, so that when you tin it, all the strands are in place. So let's tin the wire. I hope you guys can see that. I'll try to zoom in a little bit. Sometimes though, when I zoom in, I forget to zoom out. So then you guys are like close up on stuff. It doesn't make sense. But let's see if I can just remember here. All right, so let's tin the wire. Here we go. There's one. There's two. And there's three. Okay, so we've got the 3 wires tinned. Now we already tinned the board, right? Now I'm going to keep the zoom here only because I want to show you where this is going. Now I did wrap these wires around, and I'm going to just unwrap it for a second because where this is going is right underneath this, okay? So we're going to have to kind of slide these out of the way a little bit. So here goes. Let me just show you what I'm talking about, and then we'll tidy this back up again in just a minute, okay? So let's get these wires. Let's definitely get the white and the red out of the way. And we'll take the other wires one direction and the other direction, okay? So here we go. If you look on your board, once you get these wires tucked away, and you can, this green wire that's in port 1 is probably going to be the one that's closest to you, this one right here. So let's just go ahead and move that back. This is where we're going right here, these 3 solder points, okay? And if you look at them, if you could get real close on them, as a matter of fact, I'm going to show you guys something cool, okay? Watch this. Now this is going to take me a second to set up, but let me do this real quick, and this way I can show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. And this is actually a good tool. If you plan on doing this more often, this is a great tool to have. So bear with me a second here. I'm just going to show you this so that we can show you a little better view. Okay, so I'm going to show you the microscope that we use here, okay? So here's this. Let me go right over there. Check this out. So this is the microscope I use when I do a lot of repairs, okay? So I'm going to set this, and I'm going to have it focus, and you're going to see what we're talking about. There you go, okay? So if you look right here, you are going to see the following. And these are where we're soldering to. This pin is your camera. This pin is your positive 5 volt. This pin is your ground. You will be soldering to those. Now I'm going to do this under the microscope so you guys can watch it, okay? And this should be pretty simple. So here goes. Ready? Got my soldering iron. And I have my cable here, and I'm just gonna, if you can see this right here, this is our video cable, this is our camera cable. I'm just gonna wind it up just a little bit, kind of keep these wires together. But if you wanna, if I can show you something here, I'm gonna try to do it under the microscope. Okay, so let's see. So look at the length of these wires, right? Now look at them on the camera, like look here. Let's do this. Let me show you something. Look at these real quick, okay? They don't look very long at all. They're actually pretty tiny, right? But when you put them in perspective to what you're soldering to, now check how long they are in comparison to your solder board. It's super long, okay? So when I tell you that you want to cut these back, I'm telling you that you need to cut them back. I'm not going to cut it under this camera because it'll put the metal on the board. Let me show you. You're going to cut it to like this. This is about, that's less than excuse me, less than a millimeter, okay? But that's the only way to make this work. So make sure you cut your cables to a very, very small amount. It's gonna seem absurd for something like this, but because the camera pads on this board are small, there, that's what you want, okay? You want them to be that big, okay, or that small, however you wanna word it. All right, so we're gonna go from the outside in. So the first one is gonna be camera, which is gonna be yellow. So grab your tweezers. Again, I'm trying to find mine, here they are. All right, so I'm gonna grab my tweezers and I'm gonna take the yellow pad, and I'm hopefully not gonna bump this all over the place, because when you move under this microscope, it moves everything like a lot. Okay, so bear with me a second, let me see. Okay, so there's the yellow, right? And there's the tip of the solder. I need to clean that, it's not very, there we go. Let me move the other wires out of the way, and that's on there. Okay, now I want to get a little bit closer so I can make sure, because that looks like it's going to break right off. All right, let me put a little bit more solder on that spot. There's not enough solder on there to grab that wire. I think that should do. Now let's try that again. I will tell you that it is not easy trying to solder with this microscope, okay? But let's just see if that'll, it looks like it'll hold. All right, so we're gonna go to the positive next. So let's grab that with the tweezers. And I think I just heated up the camera when it came off, so let me try to put that back down again. All right, so we got the camera, we got the positive, and now let's get the ground, which is right here. I'm trying to look at the computer screen to do this, and it's such a pain to do it that way. But normally under a microscope or under a magnifying glass, it's easy. I cannot see this way. It's very hard for me to do, so bear with me a sec. I'll try one more time, and if I can't get it, I'm gonna have to use the magnifying glass, but I'm trying. You see, did that get it? Nah, that's not very secure at all. All right, let me put a little bit more solder on there, and like I said, it's very difficult to try to do this while having you guys watch from this angle, so I'm going to try it, but if I cannot get it this way, then I'll just use a magnifying glass, and then I'll show you guys the end result. All right, last try to get it like this, okay? Here it goes. Okay, I think for now that, let me see. Yep, all right, so that's good. So all three of those are on there. It's really tiny, guys, okay? And like I said, usually I use a magnifying glass, but I wanted to be able to show you guys what it looked like. Now, I'm gonna still go over that with some glue to make sure it holds in place, but there you go. So your camera is now done. All right, so now let's get back to normal view here. All right, so let's take this microscope out. If you need any of these microscopes, guys, if you're interested in getting any, they're on our website, feel free. Under tools, under magnifying tools or something like that, you're gonna find the magnifying glass. Now that's it for this side, and we'll clean these wires up in a minute. So outside of the camera, the only thing left that we really need to do is we have to put the XT60 on, right? And we have to put our receiver on. So I think what I'll do now is I'll just do the receiver first, because the XT60 is gonna be kind of its own video. So let me just grab the receiver, and I gotta find where I put that real quick, so bear with me. Where did I put the receiver? I took it out of the box and I placed it down, and now I've got to find it. So give me 1 second, please. Okay, here it is. So let me bring that over here to you guys, and you're going to see exactly what we're working with, right? So here's our receiver that came with your radio, right? So what we're going to do on the receiver, let me set this aside, is we've got to solder two spots. First, we've got to do the receiver. Let me zoom out just a little bit here. We've got to do the receiver itself, right? And this is the wire that we've got to solder to that. And then there's no plug to plug this in at, so we have to actually solder it to the board. So what we're going to do here, okay, is depending on where you want to put this receiver, and this is the interesting part, there's all these wires that came with your flight controller that we're not using, okay? None of these are going to be used, right? So if we need to use a longer wire, we could use any of these if we want and cut them. The wire that they give us here can be used as well, or you can pull the wire from your audio cable, from your camera cable. Remember that we cut one end of it? So I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to find that camera cable real quick. This here. I like this wire a lot. Okay, it's excellent for heat resistance and everything else. So what I'm going to tell you is, I would take all the rest of the wire, including the one that came with the receiver, and just set it aside for now. And I would try to use this wire if you could. Okay, so let's peel off that tape right there. All right, and just, I guess, try to pull it through. But if you can't, that's not a problem. But I would like to use this wire here, and I'm wondering how much we can pull through here. Let me see. It's just because this wire has a higher heat tolerance, so I'm just going to cut it like right here. I don't need any of that, so let's see if we can get this. There you go. All right, use this wire here, cut these strands off. You can throw this piece out, throw everything else out, but this wire is very good wire right here. It's real soft, and the strands are good. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull 3 of these wires out. We're going to pull the yellow, the black, and the red. And then we're going to go ahead and strip these and tin them real quick. So let's go ahead and strip the yellow. There we go. And by doing this length of wire will give us a few more options on where we can put the receiver. All right, now let's strip the red. And you can cut as length as you want. I just cut this part, but I mean, if you can make it longer, by all means. There's not really a downside to it, so you know, you're kind of limited when you do cut it. You're limited to that much area that you can put this on. So once you do that, let's go ahead and put the flux paste on there and heat these up and get ready to tin them. Okay, there we go, 2 and 2. Let's do the last one. Okay, and so here we go. There we go. All right, so we've got our 3 wires done. Now we need our flux pen again, because we're going to be working on the board here. So go ahead and make sure you shake the flux pen, get all the stuff in it good, and then just run it on your table. You can see that it's wet, so we're good. Now go ahead and put flux on the board, just like that. Okay, because we're going to be soldering that in just a second. So we need flux on there to make sure that the soldering holds. And if you need to put something to hold it in place, let me see, I'll just put that right there. All right, put the tool on there real quick. Now we're going to go ahead and start soldering here. And the way this goes is ground is to the outside, and your S-bus is to the inside, and so your positive is in the middle, right? So when you put the colors, it's from the outside in, or from the left to the right, it's going to be yellow, red, black. Let's go ahead and put our solder down first. So there's yellow, there's our red solder, and this will be the solder for the black solder right here. Okay, now we need to tin our wires so we can get our helping hands again. And this time we're going to tin both sides, so might as well just move the board out of the way, and we're just going to tin both sides of the red wire first. So tin this side. It doesn't take very long on wire that's this thin. Tin this side here. Okay, there's one. And then I guess we can do the black one next. Doesn't really matter what order you go in, just get them tinned, okay? So here's the black wire. Okay, that's tinned. That's 10 there. And then we'll do the yellow wire here last. Sorry about the beeping, guys. That is our motion sensor outside, so not sure what that's for, but all right, here we go. Okay. All right. Okay, so now that we've got that, let's go ahead and trim back our wire. We don't need that much exposed wire on here. So we're going to do 1. We'll do 2. Again, sorry about the beeping, guys. And then we'll do 3. Okay. Just so that they're not too long, because these pads are also very small. So there's our 3 wires, right? So we're going to go ahead now and solder them to the board here. And again, we're going to start from the outside in, or from left to right, however you want to look at it. So we're going to go yellow first. Yellow is going to go right here. Okay, we're going to do red next. Red's going to go in the middle next to yellow. And then we'll do our black wire. Okay, the black wire is going to go right here on the end. Right, now that that's done, you have a choice here. It's up to you. Me, usually what I'll do is I'll put a little bit, very small amount of hot glue right here. Just a small amount, okay? And I'll explain to you why in just a second. So there's a real small amount, right? But check this out. So they give you this clear heat shrink right here, right? And this is to protect your receiver. So slide it in, antennas first, slide all the way down there, and then here's what's going to happen, right? So we're going to leave it right in the middle, and we're going to go ahead and turn our heat gun on, and we're going to shrink this down, okay? What will happen is when we put that glue on there like that, that actually kind of, it'll actually remelt again when we shrink this heat shrink down, okay? And it's going to really kind of close that up. It'll kind of make like this little barrier. It's really cool because then it kind of helps to seal it from water and other things, especially if you do it on both ends. But anyway, so there you go. Now that's sealed up and ready to go. So now all we need to do, and I'm going to just twist these up just a little bit. All we need to do is put these on the frame or on the drone here, and we're pretty much done. Now, we have our top plate right here. Let me put this flux away real quick. Okay, we have our top plate right here, and this top plate doesn't really matter. It looks like it's identical, so it's going to sit, let's say, like this. So we're going to run our battery's going to sit in this area right here, right? So we can put our receiver on the top here and connect it, and we'd have no problem. We'd have plenty of space, and then we can run the antennas up through the edge here. And that's what I would most likely do. But to do that, we have to first go ahead and solder it on the board, okay? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take it, kind of twist the wires up to just keep them in place. And let's look at what we got on the board here real quickly. This doesn't take very long at all. So we've got ground, 5 volt, and then this third pin right here is where the S bus is going to go, where the yellow is going to go. So let's go ahead and take our ground. All right. Now the wires are a little long, but that's okay on this one. So just go ahead and take your ground, and you can, well, I'm going to cut it. Mine's a little longer than it should be, so let me just cut that back, okay? Now I'm going to go ahead and just put that right here. All right, and that's on. Now I'm going to take my positive, which is still a little long as well. That's my 5 volt. Let me take that, cut it down just a little bit, put it right here in the second pin. All right, and now I'm going to take my S bus right here, and I'm going to put that on the third pin. Now, before I put the third pin on there, I want to see if I can show you something. I don't know if this camera will see that good. I'm not sure, but let's see. Nah, you're not going to be able to read it. Well, you know what you can do is I can show it to you on the microscope. So let's try that, okay? So here goes. Let me do this. There. Nope. There. Okay, so look at this real quick. This is where we were soldering them, right? So if you can see that, and I'll try to put that in focus for you, sorry. Okay, now I'm going to angle it because the light is, oh, there we go. I want you to be able to read this, okay? So you see that, you see the ground, right? So here's ground. I'm going to try to, I have to hold this, so let me just make sure I can hold it in place. So there's your ground, and it says ground under there. I just can't show it to you because it's already on there. And there's your 5 volt, right? Right here. But check this out. See that? It says U3RX. That U stands for UART. It's very important that you know this. UART3RX. That means receiving. RX is the initials or whatever, the abbreviation for receiving. TX is transmitting. Okay? This is going to be very important for you guys to understand because that 3 is telling you what port it's going to be on. And the R tells you that it's a receiving. And so since your transmitter and your transmitter is sending, okay, you're going to be sending signal and the board's receiving it. So that's why the yellow goes right there. Number 3 is important because there are, like, in some boards, 6 of these, and you have to know which one to activate. So this is telling you basically UART 3. And I'll show you what that means when we go to beta flight. All right, so there we go. So we now have our receiver set up, okay, which is, what this means here is everything on this side of the board is done. So I'm going to go ahead and just put my hot glue right across it now, and that's it, okay? Everything on the front side of the board is done. So I'm going to go ahead and get everything settled here, how it needs to be. And I'm going to go ahead and start running my hot glue here. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and also start getting my hot glue over here, right on pad number 4, right there. And this is just for protection, guys. It's just a little bit of added protection. We'll go ahead and put it here as well. And I'm going to wait to do it on the back one here because we still may put that buzzer on there. And if we do, then we don't want to go through some hot glue right now. Okay, so what we'll do is I'm going to leave it just like this because we need to clean the wiring up before we put the XT60 on. But I'm going to show you guys how to do that. So, but for right now, guys, excellent job. You have now added your camera and you have now added your, as a matter of fact, hey, let's put the camera in. Why not? We can go ahead and do that. So let's take the cable and let's plug it in just like that. Cool. And now let's slide that over the standoffs, just like that. Slide that down, and what we can do is See how we get all that pivot movement? Now we can just tighten it up real quick, and our camera will be 100% finished. So let me just go ahead and tighten these screws up, and that's coming out real good. Little simple 3D printing can save you a lot when you find yourself in a bind. Okay, so there's that. And then let's do this one. All right, guys, so there you go. So what we're going to do now is we're going to let the glue dry real quickly, and then I'm going to come back, clean all this up, and we're going to add our XT60, and then we get into the programming side, okay? So let's see. All right, that's part 6, I think. I think this is part 6, which means we've got, let's see, programming will be, XT60 will be 7, programming will be 8, I think, I guess. So we got a couple more parts left, and we're almost done. But I am extremely proud of you guys. If you've been able to keep up with this, hey, man, congrats to you. You deserve congratulations for your hard work. I will be back here shortly to show you some more. Okay, guys, see you soon. Bye.